Oh, hi! I didn't see you there. I'm Nick Farrell, and I'd like to welcome you to the supersized premiere episode of The Secret Compartment. But first, I'd like to address the fact that this episode was actually shot over a year ago, in early 2021.
Oh, shit.
And so, not only are you going to hear us make a few comments that might sound a little out of date, you're also going to hear us prognosticate on a few topics that have actually kind of come to pass since. But rest assured, the majority of the topics discussed in this episode haven't really changed since we shot it, so the discussion remains just as relevant today as it was over a year ago. Unfortunately, post-production was held up on more than one occasion, because a vital member of our team had some personal issues that he had to deal with, the nature of which I've been asked not to disclose, out of respect for his privacy. But those issues have been resolved, and we're now up, running, and ready to party. So sit back, stretch your sack, and get ready to dive deep into the secret compartment.
Hidden from all logic, beyond the scope of perception, in a dusty plastic corner lies the secret compartment. With your host, Nick Farrell.
No one wanted this, and absolutely nobody asked for it, but you're gonna get it anyway. Welcome to the first episode of The Secret Compartment, a dark, hidden place where grown adults are safe to relive the past free from judgment or ridicule, deserve it as it may be. But after months of build-up and anticipation, we finally got our shit together enough to finally make this thing happen, and I, for one, couldn't be more excited. And I'm pretty sure the same goes for our show announcer and resident ray of light, Rom the Space Knight.
This show sucks!
Whoa, we're not even a minute in, dude.
You know what you gotta be doing? You should do like Jay Leno and start the show off with those headlines. You know, like where he finds engagement announcements in the paper that say shit like, the big wiener wedding. You know, cause the groom's name is Big and the bride's name is Wiener.
Yeah, you see, that's not really the vibe we're going for with this show, Rom.
Why, you don't like Jay Leno?
Well, I mean...
What, you're too good for Leno?
No, he's...
Not hip enough, is that it?
I never said that.
You're one of those fucking comedy snobs, aren't you?
A what?
Yeah, fine. Fuck Rom and his old fart shit, right?
Come on.
Fuck me, right? I got
Rom,
shit
please.
taste and everything, right?
Rom.
Totally kidding. Look at me, gun to my head and whatnot. Right? Everything's great. Everything's just great. Episode 1, let's do this, right? Alright, yeah.
Well, we should get on with the show, which is shaping up to be a hell of a barn burner, I might add, because we got Secret Compartment co-host Rich Myrick beaming in to talk about the 6 vintage toy lines we'd like to see get a modern makeover. Pour yourself something stiff and throw your pants in the trash, because that is going to be a party. But first, I want to welcome a very special guest to the show. On account of his dial-up internet connection being too slow for video, he's going to be joining us via telephone. You may know him from his YouTube channel, Terry's Toy Talk. Please welcome Mr. Terry Vandog Jr. Terry?
Yeah?
Hello?
Yeah?
Can you hear me?
Sorry, I was brushing my ponytail. Who is this?
Hey, buddy, it's me. It's Nick.
Hey, Nick. When am I coming on your show?
It's happening right now, dude.
When?
Now. Right now. We're rolling.
Oh.
Yeah. So... thanks for calling in, buddy.
You're welcome.
So today's episode's all about vintage lines getting modern makeovers, which is fortuitous because...
What?
Fortuitous.
I'm not 42, I'm 43.
No, not your age. Fortuitous.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's fortuitous that you've sent us a modern action figure based on a classic character.
Yes, I made a YouTube video review of a Masters of the Universe Origin Skeletor by Mattel, new for 20.
Yeah, well, at least it was new for 20. It's 2021 now.
I'm 43.
I know, pal. So, should we watch this video?
Did you get it?
Sure did, buddy. Just showed up yesterday.
Yeah, let's party hardy.
Okay, here we go.
Skeletor is the greatest bad guy ever made. Better than Darth Vader, better than Megatron, better than Ellen Genesis. So of course they made a lot of him over the years. There was first Skeletor. He was like the Sean Connery of Skeletors, the original and the best. But Skeletor isn't like Sean Connery anymore, cause even though he has a skull face, Skeletor isn't dead. Hashtag 007 in heaven. And then there was weird Space Skeletor, Fake Skeletor, Big Skeletor, Fake Big Skeletor, Mini Skeletor, Cartoon Network Skeletor, Toy Guru Skeletor, Frank Angela Skeletor, Fancy Frank Angela Skeletor, Star Wars Figure Skeletor, Knickerman Skeletor, and Shampoo Skeletor. There are other Skeletors, but they make me sad, or are too much money now. Like this cool statue NECA made a long time ago. Can we get NECA to make these again? Hashtag NECA please. But now Mattel brought back Master Universe new for 20 Asmo 2 Origins, so adults can have cheap He-Man toys to play with their kids, and don't have to mess up their expensive ones, cause kids are mean and like to break your toys and beat you up. But I like these new cheap Motu toys and wanted the Skeletor to go with my other ones. So now I can finally open this guy up. The box is nice and looks like the old ones. And they put nice art on it like the old ones. And the figure looks just like the old ones. But his mouth is open, like he's always screaming about stuff. He probably yells about magic stuff, cause he does sorcery. Anyway, after so many different versions of Skeletor, I guess they ran out of new ways to do him. And that's cool, cause it's like my Sean Connery Skeletor, except he could do cool poses and doesn't smell like my Nana's cigarettes. Rest in peace, Nana.
Well, that was really something. Yeah, I might have to pick up a Origin Skeletor myself.
Yes, he's very nice.
And hey, I'm real sorry about your Nana, buddy.
Yeah, it was COVID related.
Oh, buddy, I'm so sorry she got COVID.
No, she didn't actually get COVID.
What?
A lady at Joann's Fabrics yelled at her because she wouldn't wear her mask, so she coughed in the lady's face. And then the lady stabbed her.
Okay, thank you, Terry. Thank you for calling and sharing. Please come back and visit us soon, all right?
Okay, bye. I love you.
Love you too, buddy. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we got Rich Myrick joining us to talk vintage toy lines getting modern makeovers right here in the Secret Compartment.
Good news. Gargo and Amy are getting married.
That's right, after 4.5 months of tender, faithful courtship.
This Saturday at Finkbeiner Park, and you're invited.
Ceremony officiated by Reverend Larold Chauncey Division.
Catering by Jan Clarence. Cake by Kroger Bakery.
Dancing commences with Barry Cobbler and the Hot Times take the stage.
Vows begin at 2:35, with reception to follow.
Bring a gift and your love.
This Saturday at Finkbeiner Park, Gargo and Amy are getting married.
Please no children.
So now it's time for our featured segment, and joining me today is my co-host, toy aficionado, walking pop culture encyclopedia, and all-around swell guy, Mr. Rich Myrick. Come in, Rich. Come in, Rich.
Nick, is that you? Can you read me?
Can you hear us, Rich?
Yes, I can hear you.
There he is. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm great, pal. How are you?
You know, I'm still alive.
Hey, Richie baby, what do you say? What do you know?
Hey, Rom. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, the test came back inconclusive on that thing on my ass, but the doctor said that
Thanks, Rom. Anyway, here's what we're gonna do today. We got something we like to call here on the Secret Compartment 6 Picks, where Rich and I each bring 3 items to the table for discussion. As you know, the theme for today's 6 Picks is vintage toy lines we'd like to see get a modern makeover, which brings us to my first pick, LJN's Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. Rom?
What do you want?
Take us away, pal.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Back in the early 80s, a bunch of walking man boobs started playing this game called Dungeons & Dragons. Then someone got the bright idea to turn little kids into this crap, so they made a Saturday morning cartoon based on it. Which, sure, good idea if you want to rope in kids. But then LJN made a toy line that had nothing to do with said cartoon, which was probably a really bad idea because now the kids had no fucking clue who Young Male Titan was. Great ass. Anyway, they made 2 waves of figures, some groovy monsters, and a pretty cool playset that looked like Castle Grayskull fucked Shrek. The end.
Sure. So is this how these are always gonna be?
I don't know. Is that always how your face is gonna look?
Anyway, let's talk D&D.
Okay, let's do this. You plead your case as if you're trying to convince one of these toy companies today to bring back one of these Mama Luke toy lines. Capiche? Go.
I got 2 words. Stranger Things. Once that show premiered, it brought a lot of this kind of forgotten 80s pop culture content into the contemporary zeitgeist. And one of the main things was D&D.
The Demogorgon! We're in deep shit.
Now there's, you got youngsters who never even knew what it was, who've now embraced it because of the show.
Fireball!
No 14-year-old kids who were, maybe watching Stranger Things and got entranced by D&D can go to Target or Walmart and find, an ample selection of D&D figures. So that's a void that needs to get filled.
Another thing is, there was the D&D cartoon. There were never action figures made of the characters from the cartoon. This would finally be everyone's chance to get figures of characters like Venger.
Indeed, what we have all been waiting for.
I do think the wise decision would be to do a D&D multiverse where you can pick from the mythos of the game, the animated series, the action figure line.
And you can pick from the mythos of the video games, of which there are tons.
That way you're kind of scratching all the itches, you're hitting all the quadrants, you're making all the different fans happy.
Should that line actually happen, I think I'd need the Haunted House Carnival Ride playset that kicks off every episode of the animated series.
You're thinking 12 steps ahead already. Me personally, my focus on D&D is specifically the LJN D&D toy line. Not that I have anything against it, I never played the game.
Do you play? No.
That being said, I'd just be happy for a modern Warduke and Nightmare.
Oh, please, you fucking tourist. Warduke is the basic bitch pumpkin spice of vintage D&D figures.
What can you do better?
I like them lean, green, and mean. Give me some Ogre King.
Yeah, Ogre King's pretty cool. I like Ogre King.
So let me ask you this, Ogre Boy. What are the odds of dumb guys and drag queens getting a modern makeover? For sure, maybe baby, or no way Jose?
I know this is a bold statement to come right out the gate with this, but I'm gonna say for sure.
For sure, like totally.
And I say that because Hasbro currently owns the rights to D&D. And they've already been trickling out some product. They did that box set. It's one dude and a panther. What's his name, Rich?
Drizzit and Goon.
I don't even know who the fuck that is.
We just lost half our audience, Nick.
Please send your complaints to this address. But they're making stuff now, which means I think I may very well get my basic bitch Pumpkin Spice, Warduke, and Nightmare sooner than later.
Good for you, you fucking tourist.
Provided enough people buy Moonbauger and Zin Flarner.
Speak with your wallets, people.
And now, Rich, it's time for you to speak with your mouth and tell us what your first pick is today.
Well, Nick, my first pick today is Centurions.
Alright, remember Mantech? Well, Kenna must have looked at those and thought, let's do that, but less sucky. So they did, and they called them, ta-da, Centurions! Which is weird because I looked up what a Centurion is on Wikipedia, and it didn't look anything like these guys. In fact, he kind of looks like young male Titan. Great ass. Anyway, you could tell the Centurions were down to party because they'd let you put it in any hole you wanted to.
Whatever you've heard is all true.
And if that wasn't kinky enough, the bad guys were these weird 50-50 gimps who had half of their bodies lopped off and replaced with robot limbs, which is actually pretty cockamamie. Why half-ass it if you could go all the way? I bet that guy from RoboCop saw these and swore never to make the same mistake.
I thought we agreed on total body prosthesis. Now lose the arm, okay?
That's why RoboCop is so boss. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Centurions.
RoboCop?
No, Centurions.
Cool, I love RoboCop. Did you know that it's a Jesus allegory?
I muted him. I don't think we have time for another one of his RoboCop rants.
Thank you.
Go ahead and plead your case, Rich.
Contemporary companies like NECA and Super 7 are going hog wild on accessories, and one of the biggest hooks for Centurions was all the accessories.
The fusion collision of man and machine.
The other thing that I think is interesting with Centurions, the vehicles weren't even that big. It wasn't like you had like a Millennium Falcon type vehicle.
Centurions call for more powerful weapons. Energize. Max gets Tidal Blast. Ace gets Orbital Interceptor. They strike back with added firepower.
I think that makes it a much easier pill to swallow these days, where a lot of collector lines kind of shy away from the cost of building out a big vehicle. To even take that point further, Centurions was not a small line. These guys were like 7-8 inches tall.
No, they were big, meaty hunks of plastic.
And I think you could make the case if you were trying to convince a toy company to make them now, you know, I think a lot of collectors would be cool with sizing them down a little bit, kind of like how Zika did with the Sectars.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the vehicle thing would be an even easier pill to swallow from a cost perspective.
For sure. Not to mention that, whereas Centurions is a nice tight line, you know, 5 figures, Max, Ace, and Jake, and then you have Hacker and Doc Terror, and then like the drones, there were characters that never got made, you know? You had John Thunder, Crystal Kane, Rex Charger. Like, these are characters that I think deserve their iterations in plastic, but most importantly, they need to make the Cybervore Shark and the Cybervore Panther. Because who doesn't love a giant robot shark or panther?
What do you think the odds are of a modern Centurions line actually come to fruition? Is that a no way Jose, maybe baby, or a for sure?
My own personal bias aside, if I have to be honest, I think me and the 10 other people who would buy this line are not enough to maybe get it off the ground. I think it's a no way Jose.
No way, Jose.
Ouch, that hurts.
I couldn't bend over to put my boots on for a week.
But I think anyone with enough common sense would accept that's probably the case.
That's enough.
Which is going to take us on to our next line. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute Rom now.
It's further supported by the visual in the junkyard of RoboCop walking across the wire, just like Jesus.
Oh, that's crazy.
You're right?
Yeah, so you ready to move on now?
Yeah, sure, I guess.
Cool, because my next vintage line that I'd like to see make a comeback is
Black Star!
In the year of our Lord 1981, Filmation made a cartoon about a half-naked stud on an alien world called Black Star. Anyway, it got shit canned after only 13 episodes. The end.
Rom?
Yeah?
That's not the end.
Sure it is.
Rom, you left out the part about the toys.
Jeez, you pud pullers and your toys. How old are you anyway?
Rom!
Fine. Then a couple years later, after that deal with the other half-naked meat masseuse raked in $1 bajillion for those jerks at Mattel, Galoob decided to cash in on the hysteria by digging up Waxstar and giving him a toy line all his own. It was a big plastic party packed to the rafters with cat guys, bat guys, hey, I heard he's getting hitched, hobbit things that were borderline legally actionable, and lots of Sparks.
Okay, so... Anyway, so... Thank you. All right, this is a property that's already pretty similar to Masters of the Universe. It makes perfect sense to let Super 7 and the Four Horsemen go ahead and use the existing Masters of the Universe Classics buck that they're already using for the Conan line and the Thundercats line. And there are images of customs of Black Star figures that have been built on the existing Motu Classics buck, and they look pretty damn sharp.
Yes!
I also think it would be really cool to finally get Trobits and the demons actually articulated and not as just those little static PVC figurines. Yeah! Especially with the space demons, I could see Super 7 having fun with that because, as we know, Super 7 likes to play around with colorways.
So, Nick, all that said, what do you think the odds are of a Black Star revival?
I'm going to go with a firm maybe baby. Maybe baby. And I'm going to say that because I think right now I feel like Black Star has a little more juice with vintage collectors than it did even a couple years ago.
It would at least give people an opportunity to have some nice looking Black Star figures that don't cost a fortune, because if you don't find a carded Black Star figure, they are impossible to find loose in any semblance of good condition.
Absolutely. It gets harder and harder and harder.
Uh-oh.
But you know what? We're not here to make life hard on you. We're here to make it easy. So let's keep the show moving. Rich, what you got next?
Now, this episode is about to jump the shark. And by that, I mean the tiger sharks.
Remember tiger sharks? Neither do I. But apparently they were these little people who turned into fish people by way of that head flipping thing like those Power Ranger toys that my sister's kid got a bunch of after he finished his chemo treatments. And while that's all fine and dandy, by far the best thing tiger sharks had going for them was the theme song for their cartoon. They should have called this show Earworms, because that's exactly what that damn song was.
Well, Rom, if you're going to make that big of a deal about it, we should probably play it for everyone else watching so they can get it stuck in their ears as well.
Well, I mean, sure, I guess. Let me cue up the clip. I think I got it here somewhere.
No. We should play it.
Oh, what? Oh, yeah, okay, sure.
Great. Hit it.
You got a tiger by the tail. Hold on, tiger sharks. Tiger sharks. Look for a spaceship with a sail and hold on, tiger sharks. Tiger sharks. Hold on, tiger sharks.
How fucking hot did I look, huh? All shiny and rock hard and purple, like a big giant.
I think that tiger sharks could have been as popular as Thundercats, if not more so, but they got a really unfair shake right out of the gate. If you think about why Thundercats is so popular and so beloved to this day, I think a lot of it has to do with how badass that cartoon was.
These eyes.
And then you think of tiger sharks, and you think of the cartoon that accompanied tiger sharks. Oh, you don't think about that cartoon? Well, I'll tell you why. Because that cartoon was part of this weird anthology series called Comic Strip, and the cartoons that accompany tiger sharks in Comic Strip were Karate Cat and Street Frogs. You know, like they weren't doing tiger sharks any favors. So whereas the toys themselves had all this potential, there was nothing to actually let kids know what the hell they were when they saw them on the pegs.
So what you're saying is the tiger sharks got a raw deal. So then how would you plead their case?
Well, I would say that Tiger Sharks fit into essentially the Rankin Bass trilogy with Silverhawks and Thundercats, and Super 7 is already well on their way to making Thundercats and Silverhawks. So I feel like it makes sense for Super 7 to further that agenda by giving Tiger Sharks a relaunch and see if people, you know, take the bait. Sorry. Should that actually take off, I'm not saying that the head flipping action, which was one of the coolest gimmicks the line had at the time, to turn them into fish people from humans, I don't know if that's something you can bring back. But again, with Super 7 and all their accessories and extra parts, well, you just throw in an extra head. You throw in the human head and you can swap them out. And so you don't flip their chest again. No worries. No one's going to care.
I don't care.
Out of all the lines we're talking about today, this one is by far the most obscure and as a result, the most rare.
You can't find them anywhere.
No,
and if you do, they're going to be a small fortune.
I've seen them for hundreds of dollars for loose examples that are
without
shit.
Without the chest plates. You can find some on eBay with missing the front and the back plate, and they're still going for like $100.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And so I think for a lot of people, if there are any hardcore tiger shark fans out there, and I see you, you're that one guy, it's going to be the only way they can even afford to nurture a tiger sharks collection. And I think that would actually work in the favor of whatever company that would choose to make these today. You're not going to have to compete with the original toys on the aftermarket. And while, yes, this is an obscure line, I think other companies have taken similar situations and kind of done all right with it, right?
They have. I mean, you have Boss Fight, who's doing the Bucky O'Hare figures, and I feel like Bucky O'Hare is a relatively obscure license as well, but it's found an audience and it's found some fans. So with that in mind, I'm going to give this one a maybe baby.
Maybe, baby.
Well, with that, I think it's time for me to pull out my final pick. And, Rom, I think you're going to like this one.
Oh, yeah? Why's that?
Well, it's a line comprised entirely of entities that you happen to share a lot in common with, buddy.
Suicidal alcoholics?
No, robots.
Oh, how cute.
That's right, it's Stariors. Take it away, Rami.
Japanese toyticians Tomy did these wind-up model things called Zoids that did pretty good business. So then they did these things that were kind of like them but different called
Stariors.
Yeah, that. They had cool stuff like wind-up titties, and you could take them apart and mix them up with their heads on their buttholes, and some were called wastors and walked around like people, and some were called rammors and rolled around on wheels, and some flew. And there was a remote-controlled blind dinosaur called Deadeye that shot frisbees out of his mouth.
He was a Cosmotor, but that wasn't what team he was on. That was just his model. Actually, it was his series. His model was Demolisher.
And that's not even to mention the Stalkers and the Strazors and the Voltors and Star Runners and Scouts.
Rom?
I think he's gonna need a minute.
Yeah. Anyway, so as Rom's Fried Circuits can attest to, Star Wars was a pretty wacky line, and I think it deserves to come back for that reason alone. But really, it doesn't end there. So let me plead my case. First off, Tomi Takara has already brought back Zoids. This was a spin-off of Zoids in the first place. So let's keep that party going, and here's how I think they can do it. If you're trying to peel money off your bottom line on manufacturing a line like this, first thing you can do, strip out the wind-up features. We don't need them. Half of my vintage ones, those features don't even work anymore, and they don't really bring that much to the table. And second, skip the dumb modular feature. As Rom so eloquently stated, I don't need to be putting my robots' heads on their buttholes. It's just not necessary. It's not like a Transformer where there's a logic to why they enter that other mode. And also, I think the designs of these characters are great. But what a toy company could do with them nowadays, make them taller, make them bulkier. If you just came out the gate with a really strong looking robot line, it wouldn't matter if this is a reiteration of an obscure line from 35 years ago, because people would see these and just be like, oh shit, those are cool, I need to have those.
Absolutely. Plus, Star Wars has a character named Slaughter Steelgrave, and if that's not a reason enough to bring back some badass robots, I don't know what is.
But if I had to say what the odds are of this happening, I'm sorry, this one falls firmly in the no way Jose territory.
No way, Jose.
This brand just does not have much recognizability outside of it for about 12 people.
I propose we head for the bar.
But you know what, Rich? It's time for your final pick, and I cannot wait to see what it is.
Well, Nick, it's funny you mentioned seeing, because my final pick is Visionaries. Rom, you back from your meltdown, pal?
Yeah, nothing 6 Dexedrines and a pint of Everclear couldn't fix.
Great. Hit it.
The late 80s brought us two especially shit things. The New Kids on the Block.
A lot of people are surprised when we're white.
And holograms. Because while they were called holograms, that ain't what they were. That's a hologram. This chintzy joke is a sticker. But as we all know, kids are stupid, and they ate this shit up. Hasbro figured that they could capitalize on this stupidity with a line of Magic Knights. They also came with hologram picket signs, which would have to be the dumbest accessory I've ever seen packaged with a toy. Hey, good luck stopping the next Keystone Pipeline with your holograms, hippies. Anyway, these things suck. The end.
Rom, I'm sensing some major hostility here. You got some sort of beef with Visionaries?
Well, I usually have beef with things that suck, so yeah.
Alright, pay this grumpy asshole no mind, Rich. I think Visionaries is a fine line. Plead your case.
Okay, so this line had everything you needed out of a wildly successful toy line. You had incredible articulation, like basically what you were getting out of a G.I. Joe figure, and you also had holograms, and holograms were all the rage in the 80s.
He's got a hologram!
You had them in Supernaturals, you had them in Battle Beasts.
I got fire! I got water! Water beats fire!
But I think that the Visionaries captured the gimmick better than anything else. And not only that, but just the fusion of magic and science that like fed into the lore of this toy line just worked so well. I just think that it was a line that should have done a lot better than it did. And now we have Hasbro, and they're classified for the Joes and their Lightning collection for Power Rangers. I just think that the Visionaries fit a sophisticated action figure line as good as any of those other lines that are out right now.
I've been thinking, what about a jousting arena and a botanical garden? I don't know.
Visionaries is another one of those lines that got canceled with quite a few guys on deck for a second wave that never got the go-ahead, right?
I think more than almost any other line that was axed before its time, nothing really left as much on the table as Visionaries.
I don't like the sound of that.
There was sun imps, you had vehicles, which is a shame because what we saw in those few photos and solicits were as cool, if not cooler, than what we'd already gotten on the pegs.
I just want to see them make that Iron Mountain playset because unlike hologram stickers, this was going to actually be like a free floating kind of a hologram. But there is no explanation whatsoever as to how that fucking thing was supposed to work. It could have very well turned into a Manglords level failure.
Take them apart. They'll return almost like new to their original form.
But we'll never know because they never made it. Now, Hasbro, they actually have made at least one Visionaries character in the modern era, correct?
You're correct. So Hasbro releases an actual 5-inch Leoric figure in the IDW Revolution box, the Comic-Con exclusive, and everyone thought that this might be the precursor to a fully fledged, fully realized relaunch of the Visionaries line.
Hold on there, Chief. You're forgetting another figure that was included in that Comic-Con box set.
Oh boy.
That's right. Who does that look like down there at the bottom? All right, that's me.
So?
So, I just think it's funny how you failed to mention that. In fact, I think it's really funny how you found hologram sticker knights a more compelling choice for a revival than me, a space knight.
Yeah, now I see where all this bitchiness is coming from.
Look, all I'm saying is I think a little more respect is due. Were Visionaries on the cover of Time magazine? 'Cause I was, albeit in the corner, but there I was. Sug it.
You know, that's right, Rom. You actually were on the cover of Time. And wouldn't you know it, I just happen to have the issue right here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, buddy, let's see what they happen to say about you back then in old 1979, huh?
That's not really necessary. I mean, are we running out of time?
No, this is an internet show, so no time limits.
No one wants to hear this. It's all boring stuff.
Ah, here it is. The trouble with this Parker Brothers homunculus is that it looks as if it should be able to use its arms and legs like a true robot, and it can't. Rom will end up among the dust balls under the playroom sofa.
I'll show you how I use my arms. How you like them holograms, you crumb bum?
God damn it. You're fucking fired, Rom.
Fired? You don't even pay me.
Shit, he's right. Anyway, so what are the odds on Visionaries making a comeback?
You know what? I'm gonna say maybe, baby. Maybe, baby. I think with Hasbro's plan to reunite all of their franchises into one big universe, with Mask and Visionaries and Transformers and what have you.
A good idea.
I think there's potential for Visionaries to come back.
But they have been talking about that shared universe with all their IPs for a few years now, and nothing's really come of it.
No, nothing yet. But again, they just kind of kicked their whole production gear up a notch, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what's going to happen here on the Secret Compartment, and we're going to start wrapping things up because that's our 6 lines. So just to recap, we got AD&D. We got that down as a for sure.
We've got Centurions, which do not have a snowball's chance in hell of happening.
Then we got Black Star, which we're giving a maybe baby.
And we've got Tiger Sharks, which, again, is another maybe baby.
And then Stariors with a pretty firm no way Jose.
And rounding it out with Visionaries, which is a strong maybe baby.
Thanks for joining, buddy. We did it.
We did it, man. Thanks for having me, as always, and
Hey, let's wrap this circle jerk up already, alright?
Bye, Rom.
Hey, you don't say goodbye to me. I say goodbye to you, you bombots.
Really? Alright, see you later, buddy.
Adios.
You can watch The Secret Compartment at thesecretcompartment.com. Follow us on Instagram at the_secret_compartment_show, where you can look at stupid pictures and DM us to talk toys. But don't ask us about our business, you understand me?
So he sent us how many of these things?
He sent us 30.
30?
He sent them as a thank you gift.
Yes, he's very nice.
Terry. Oh, hey! You're sneaky. So, what'd you think? It's fun, right? I thought so. I want to thank y'all for watching tonight, and now that personal issue I talked about earlier has been resolved, I can assure you that it's not going to be another year before you see episode 2. In fact, one second. Yeah.
Yeah, there's this new sushi place opening up by the church where I do my AA meetings. They put coconuts on your head, and they light them on fire while they shoot soggy bombs in your mouth.
Rom, I'm shooting the wraparounds for the premiere right now.
Hey, you didn't mention my situation, right?
Situation? What situation?
The thing, you know. The thing.
Sorry, you're gonna have to be more specific.
Don't play games with me, doughboy.
Rom, I don't know what you're talking about.
All my court dates for that January 6th shit.
No, Rom. I didn't mention that on camera.
You know, it's a real sad state of affairs when a patriot such as myself acts in good faith to overthrow tyranny, only to then have to endure all this legal persecution.
So how's the ankle bracelet treating you, buddy?
They could be listening to this conversation, so hey, it's great, I love it.
Hey, so rain check on Sushi Inferno, yeah?
Yeah, sure, fuck off.
Yeah, your mother.
You fat little son.
Should we reset and do another take?
No. That was great. We're good. See you next time.